Khan here for Seconds Out in Bournemouth with Johnny Nelson MBE. Make sure I say that at the start of the interview as opposed to midway through. Johnny Nelson MBE, how you doing, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. Can I just say, your assistant Quiver is amazing. We did an interview last time. She's actually better than you. I'm just saying, I'm just writing this down, brother. So be careful. But we're good. Last time we're down, it was nice and sunny, it was lovely. But, you know, this is again, if you don't take risks, you don't get rewards. So it's a big risk fight for Chris.
I echo that for Quiver, and high tides raise all ships indeed. So good competition is good competition all the way around. Very famous saying of yourself, I am a product of the gym, I am the gym. Is that none more truer than with Chris Billam-Smith, who's spent the time with Shane McGuigan, exacted his instructions, won the world title, and really kind of embedded himself in that gym, is now the captain of that gym too?
Yes, it's a pyramid of life. When you're in the gym, what happens is you start off as the beggar. You're the one that's low down, and you see everybody else that's top of the tree. But you slowly but surely work your way through to being king of the gym. Every gym has one eventually, and it's a big responsibility to have. But Chris has now got himself in that position. I think Chris is probably one of the few fighters that Shane's been with from day one, and I think for Chris it's well deserved. But so now he's got to represent, you know, and this is for Shane to give me the respect to say this guy's a good trainer. Look what he's done with me. You put me in with somebody that's a live, dangerous opponent, and Chris pulls it off. So this is a very, very good win if Chris gets it, and it will be underrated and undervalued, and people will not appreciate how much of a good win this is for Chris.
When you win the world title, you weren't fancied to win the world title. When you won it, like Chris Billam-Smith won the world title and wasn't fancied, was it a different mentality when you won it in terms of defending your title? Was it any switch of mentality that you had to go through and change when you're holding as opposed to chasing?
Oh, without a doubt. And I always say that when I talk about fighters, you've got to have a when you're chasing a title, you've got to have a hunter's mentality. You know what you're after. You can eye your prey from years before and figure out a strategic plan of how to beat them. A true champion is able to deal with any fighter that challenges him, that's had months, years of preparation for him. So if you are championship material, that means within the 6 weeks or 12 weeks that you've got notice to say fighter A is fighting B, you've got to be good enough to devise a plan that beats his plan that he's been planning for years. So it's a big responsibility to be world champion. And people don't realise that. A lot of fighters think the hardest thing is actually getting a world title. It's not. It's keeping it. Because your drive and your ambition has to be different now. Whereas before you knew what you were chasing, when you're the champion, you're being chased. But you've still got to try and have that same edge, that same mentality, that same hunger, that same fight, that same desire. And so that's why a lot of fighters usually lose their title within the first or second defense. First defense is a soft touch given. Second defense, that's when they have to do their mandatory. They usually lose them. And so I always say a true champion, you know, there's probably a handful of world champions in the world that believe they are really the best fighter in the world. Does Chris Billam-Smith believe he's the best cruiser in the world? I don't know. You ask him that. The answer should be yes, I do. No matter what. It doesn't matter what you think. He's got to believe he's the best in the world. He's not, well, I just want to see how it is. When you're champion, you've got to think, walk, talk, eat, move like a champion. And that's the responsibility. This is his first defense. So we just got to see how he weathers the storm.
Reactport waiting in the wings should Chris Billam-Smith come through with a victory. You feel that's the likely matchup next? Reactport or unification? What would you like to see for Chris Billam-Smith in terms of those future fights?
If I'm honest with you, I'd prefer to see Reactport against Billam-Smith rather than Billam-Smith against Akoli. The only reason being is because obviously the last fight it wasn't very attractive, but Akoli has done Chris a massive favour by stepping aside and letting this happen. Because as I understand it, Akoli had every right to say, no, it's me or nobody. So this it's a good shout. It's a great opportunity for him. Richard Riatpur is the mandatory challenger. I gather the WBO said no, it's got to be him next if you win. If Masternak wins, it's Masternak against Lawrence Akoli.
Moving on to Ben Whittaker, someone who divides opinion because of his flashy nature. I like him myself. I think he brings eyeballs to the spotlight and the sport is specifically. he's got something big planned for the weekend, but so you have to keep delivering highlight reel knockouts to keep his name in people's mouths to climb the ladder faster if he is on that fast track to success.
Without a doubt, I think Ben, now he's getting consistency, injury-free, he's getting the fights out there. Ben needs to be in touching distance of saying, I want to be boxing for the British title within 12 months. I want to be British champion within 12 months. And then I want to be talking about European title within the year after that. He needs to make sure he's because the kid he's gold dust. You know, as long as he's injury-free, the kid is gold dust. And like him or loathe him, you're going to watch it. And he's a talent. And remember, when he turned pro, he was sought after by a lot of promoters worldwide. So Ben's problem would be Ben. He's going to make sure he's in good condition, fit, strong, healthy. Just get the job done. Keep being him. Be braggadocious. Be that guy that stands out. When there's a press conference and they're all up there, who stands out? Ben always stands out, even though there's bigger tiers above him.
Moving on to the wider boxing sphere, I want to talk about a Winkelback native such as yourself. Kell Brook was in an interview with BBTV, I believe it was, and he was asked what would bring him out of retirement or what would kind of get him out of his silk sheets, and he said that a Kell Brook fight would entertain him, and he would, if the Benjamins were right, he would come out of retirement for that. A Conor Benn fight for Kell Brook, I should say properly. What do you think about that? Do you think we'll see Kell Brook back in the ring?
No, I don't. I think it's great to romance the idea. I think if you're out long enough, then I still think I can fight, you know, these guys here. Think I'd do them. But in reality, when you get into tough training camp and you remember how much of a commitment it is, you remember how long it takes to get over the aches and pains, then that's when you have a serious conversation with yourself. Kell has earned a lot of money. Kell still is in love with the game. But he isn't in love with the game enough to make the commitment. So therefore, if somebody came along and offered him stupid money for boxing one of the two, he might go in there, he might train, but I'm telling you now, halfway through training camp will be the telling factor whether or not how much he wants it. And that's who, I don't know if you remember Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn in his day was a fierce son of a gun. Who would have ever thought Nigel Benn would quit mid-fight? So when the fight's gone out of you, it's gone out, there's nothing you can do. So you can't turn back time and be a fighter you were. So when the fight's gone out of you, it's gone. And so if you're saying, well, you know, you're toing and froing, the fight's gone. And I'm sure Kell, he will try and talk himself into it and think, you know what, I can do this. But I think that fighting snap has gone, but I think his fighting brain is still there. And it's not a slant on Kell, because all ex-fighters are like that. I'm like that. Most ex-fighters, they look and they talk like, yeah, I'm better than him. You were better. But right now, you're older or you've been out of the game too long.
With the stuff going on aside with Conor Benn and with what you're saying about Kell Brook, would you then not back Kell Brook to beat Conor Benn if the two were to meet in the ring?
Well, there's two ways, but it's like you asking me, would I be Alexander Usyk in my day? I can easily say, yeah, in my day. But we're talking. But so you're asking me a question. You know, how would it turn out if you put Kell Brook in when Kell Brook, I don't know, 4 years ago in against today's Conor Benn? Kell would smash him. If you put today's Kell Brook in with today's Conor Benn, the scales don't weigh in his favour. You understand? So it's okay to have that fantasy fight, but reality is you're not the fighter you were. The fighter you are knows a lot more than Conor Benn does. But physically, the Lord punishes it all. Say, you know what, I'm going to take your timing away, I'm going to take your fitness away, I'm going to take that snap away. That's life. That's the pyramid of life.
Johnny, focus on Conor Benn. Conor's had a meeting with Simon Jordan, a small positive step it seems towards trying to clear his name in the eyes of the public too as well. I just wonder what you thought about that situation and the developing situation with Conor Benn not being licensed to fight as it stands right now.
Let me make it clear. Not once have I thrown Conor Benn under the bus. I like Conor. I've always liked Conor. Respect his dad. The fact is he failed a drug test. And so until this is sorted out, until he's either done his ban or some way vindicated, take your licks and get on with your career. Because I actually want to see him in with Eubank. I actually want to see him perform. I'm a fan of his, but I'm a boxing fan as well, and I'm an ex-fighter. take your licks, do the ban, and move on. Put pride on the shelf for now, because your career is like, it's like you've put a full stop on your career because of this argument. Take the licks, say, you know what, I'm going to take my ban, and have your argument. But right now, pride is getting the better of him, and it's affecting his career. And he won't know that until he's 35, 40 years old, or until he's 35 years old, back into his career, when he needs that the times that he's missed out of his career, the valuable time he's missed out of his career. He needs that knowledge, he needs that consistency, he needs all of that in his artillery. I just say take your legs, take the ban, move on.
Moving forward to a fight where a lot of people are thinking that Anthony Joshua will be taking some licks against Otto Wallin. Do you feel that Anthony Joshua does come through that fight? And you said something that I thought was interesting, that Anthony Joshua kind of got this sort of bad man persona going on with him. Do you think that that sort of persona will help him in the fight? Do you think that's something that he needs to reach back into and claw back, considering what people say about him in terms of his motivations in the sport? Do you think that will help him succeed and get a world title again?
Yeah, he needs that chip on his shoulder, because for what might be lacking, or what might have stood still in his development as a fighter, in regards to attitude, in regards to mindset, he needs that spiky edge back. He needs that little bad boy thing back when he was like the days when he was fighting Dylan. He needs that edge back, because fighting's just not about fighting. Fighting's about getting in there, and it's man on man. You got to get in your head thinking, I've got to use everything in the book. AJ's very clean, very correct, and so to his detriment, when people haven't chosen to be that, they've gone ahead of him. You know, you look at things that have happened in Tyson Fury's fight. You look at things that have happened in Wilder's fights. AJ's been correct all the time, and so now he's got the edge. So don't be surprised if on the break he's hitting a fighter, whacking him in the balls, push him out. He needs that spiky edge back, so he's not as predictable. Right now, he's far too predictable. You know he can bang. You know he boxes correct. You know he's dangerous. You don't have to expect. You're not going to expect to get hit by the elbow. You're not going to expect to get hit in the balls, because he's too correct. He needs his edge back. And I'm not saying you've got to play dirty. What I'm saying is you want to be unpredictable, where people think, you're right, where people think, you know what, shit, there's something just I can't read about him. So right now, the personas you get putting out there, do it, man.
I got recommended a video to watch on my YouTube feed. It was you and Anthony Joshua doing this thing called Splash Talk, where you hold water in your mouths and you're like trying to like diss each other and not kind of like laugh. And there was a question that you fell to Anthony Joshua, and it was, what's kind of, to paraphrase, it was like, what do you like about, you succeeding in the sport? The fame, money, or kind of loads of people kind of opening the door and doing things for you. Now, I'm not saying this specifically about Joshua, but just in terms of sports people, when they get success, when they get high and the group expands around them, does that dull their edge, that dull some of the fire? Does a smaller circle breed a better sportsman in your eyes?
Without a doubt. Unfortunately, boxing is one of the few sports where individuals profit, and I call them ninja friends. You know, these guys disappear when times are dark. You know, they're out when the sun's light shining. They're out when times are good. They're out when everything's rolling. But when times are bad, they disappear. They slip in the background. And all of a sudden, if you're in that position and you're the one that's getting the money, you're the one that's a famous one, what happens is people want a piece of that, and they're never going to challenge you when you make a decision, because they want to stay in that circle. If you're getting paid or not, they want to be in that circle. They want to be around the sunlight. But how that affects you is it affects your development, because you stop learning, because people won't tell you. So now you're your own teacher, you're your own student. You've got to look around and look for the knowledge and try and learn things in a different way. So what I'm saying is, if you're working for me and I'm paying you shitloads, or you're on a good crack and you travel the world with me, you are never going to say anything to me that I don't like, because you want to keep your job, and because you're getting experience, you're getting other connections and other opportunities off the back of being around me. You ain't going to say shit. So this is what happens when success comes. I mean, success comes at a high level. And so, and it's not, when I'm not just referring to AJ, I'm referring to a lot of successful fighters. Listen, Mike Tyson himself told you that. It's common sense. And so, but at the moment, fighters that are in that position, the arrogance is that high, they choose again not to listen, because they've got so used to people not telling them how it is, being straight with them, having a brave conversation with them to develop their mind. You know, and if you want to be a fighter that's always developing, you want to keep learning, listen. listen and watch and have a circle around you, get it, that understand it.
Last couple of questions. Bring it back to AJ specifically. Is 6 weeks or whatever it is heading into December 23rd enough time to affect what Ben Davison is trying to teach him from that move from Derek James to Ben Davison, albeit temporary?
I got a third-hand message from Ben. I think he was a bit upset in regards to me saying, AJ, if he wants to be the best, he's got to pick the best. And I'm sorry if it comes across like as though I'm disrespecting Ben. Okay, it sounds like I am, but I honestly don't. If you pass your test and you've been driving, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years, and I give you a high-powered, I don't know, Porsche, the chances of you smashing that car are a lot higher than someone that's had experience. And I mean vast experience of driving, vast experience of understanding the road, of a drivers and getting it. But you're going to learn on the job, so you're going to smash the car at my expense. But you won't do it again because you think, okay, no, I won't do that again. But it was at my expense. What I'm saying is, AJ with Ben, where he is and what he's achieved, AJ needs to make sure he's with somebody that's going to bring something to him that's going to enhance him. And that's going to be used to this high pressure. Now you're going to say, Ben was with Tyson Fury. Yes, he was. Why is he not with him now? You understand? And so it put Ben on the map. And Ben might be a good coach, a top coach, in 5-10 years' time. But right now, I wouldn't give him the keys to the kingdom because the only person that's going to benefit is Ben. Not AJ, he's Ben. That's common sense. And people might not tell you this on camera, but people behind the scenes like, why is he doing that? That's a mad move. But this is AJ's call. And again, no disrespect to you, Ben, but you asked me a question, I'm saying how it is.
Appreciate you sharing your opinion. We'll end on a bit of a lighter one. I just wondered, I spoke to Eddie Hearn and I said to him, my source told me you had a heated conversation with Jarrell Miller. Jarrell put it on him. Eddie didn't flap it, he gave it back.
I like Eddie. He's got bottle. And listen, I don't work for Eddie, so I've got no reason to say this. Eddie's been in boxing since he was 11 years old. This guy was in my corner when I was boxing, not in my corner, sat there in Karlsruhe, Germany, when his dad, Brendan, and Harold, I can't remember else, were in the corner. Eddie knows boxing. He knows boxing folk. He grew up around boxers, Hearn behind people. He be in camp with them. So he knows when fighters are bullshitting. He knows when fighters are trying to bully. He knows when fighters are trying to intimidate. You can't intimidate Eddie. Eddie will outsmart you, out-toy, and he'll make you look foolish. And so what he did was he just outed Gerald saying, all right. He said this. I said, go fuck yourself. I like you, but go fuck yourself. I laughed. I thought, go on, Eddie. Don't rant with Eddie because don't let looks deceive you. The boy knows boxing. And he's been in boxing for far too long in his life to be hustled or threatened or intimidated. If the likes of Frank Warren doesn't intimidate him, what do you think a fighter like Jarrell Miller's going to do? Jarrell's not going to put his hand on him, but he's going to talk like he's going to put his hand in it. Eddie can talk to tramps and he can talk to princes. Eddie's like, nah, you got to leave him alone, man. I just laughed off for Gerald, you picked the wrong fight there, man, because he's just going to twist you up.
I knew I picked a good conversation with Johnny Nelson MBE. Much appreciated, sir. Thank you so much. Good stuff.